Welcome to GCA Unmuted, the podcast where we share the stories and strategies that show how Georgia Cyber Academy makes online learning work. Inclusion in education isn't just about access. It's about meaningful participation, purpose, and growth. And at GCA, the LIFE program is reimagining what inclusion looks like in a virtual space. I'm joined today by Brandi Dozier-Muhammad, a family and consumer sciences teacher in GCA's Life Department. She brings real-world skills, personalized support, and heart into every lesson and helps students with exceptional needs thrive in our online model. We'll explore how the LIFE program supports students with disabilities in gaining independence and life skills, how inclusion is approached through electives like FACS, and what it means to build a truly student-centered virtual classroom. Brandi, thanks so much for coming on. First question, can you share a story that captures the heart of your work with students in the LIFE program?
Yes, and thank you for having me. Absolutely. It's hard to choose just one because it's been life-changing for me as an educator, not only to be at GCA, but to be in the life department. But I would say the one that immediately comes to the forefront of my mind was my first year here. And I had a student who didn't necessarily come on camera. She would private chat me with, her answers or anything she wanted to add to the class. And I could tell she was an artist because anytime we worked in the Nearpod or anytime we had an assignment where they could use their manipulatives or anything at home, I could tell from her work that she was an artist. And, I said, well, would you share some of your art? You're really good. And she said, I don't know. I'm really shy. And so I said, well, can I share it? And I won't tell who did it. And so she
Oh,
said, okay,
smart.
you can do that. And so I did. And the chat just lit up with praise for her artwork. And then from there, whatever we did, she started to get more engaged in the class. She started coming on camera. She started, helping to support her classmates. And then she said to me, she said, Miss Brandi, I had given up on school. She was a senior. And she said, I was, not wanting to keep going because it just seemed like it was too hard and I wasn't going to be good at it. But you helped me to believe in myself. And we still keep in touch to this day. She calls to give me an update on, how her life is going. But that really stuck with me because we don't know what's on the other side of the camera. And especially if the students, don't have their cameras, we don't know. And it just really touched me to say, okay, you don't know who or what might be happening on the other side of the camera. So keep encouraging, keep trying, just keep letting them know that they matter, that they count, that they're special, and all of their unique ways. So that one
Sure.
really sticks out.
Yeah, what a smart idea too for you to say, "Hey, I'll share it. You're not sharing it." That's a great
Yeah.
idea. Gets the work out there without the maybe potential embarrassment that they may feel
Mhm.
or whatever.
Right.
How cool. So, what do you think that story says then about the kind of inclusion, like making sure that all the students feel included? What do you think that that story says then about what the life program is aiming to create, what you are trying to create in your classroom?
Well, I would say, first of all, I know I'm here and you invited me, and I appreciate and I'm thankful that I get this opportunity. But it definitely is a team work operation that we do in the life department. I'm in the electives area, but that gives me the opportunity to see the majority of students in our department on a daily basis and to see the growth that they have coming from their content teachers with their literacy skills or with their math skills. It really is a team effort. And from the administrators who put together, the classes that we'll be doing every year, the applications that they're constantly making sure that we have access to. Um, I mean, it really is the collaboration that we do with each other. It's a team effort, and it really speaks to what GCA is doing with the life department and how they're making sure that they have access to everything that they need to be successful here in school.
Hmm. So, for those who aren't familiar, then, what is the life program at GCA and how does it serve students?
So the life department is for students with intellectual disabilities, and it's not just special education. Yes, we have a special education department here at GCA, but with our intellectual disabilities, sometimes it's more of a challenge. And so they get more personalized care and education with the life department. It's a smaller group that we work with the content teachers. They have paraprofessionals who are, excuse me, assisting them as well. But we not only focus on, education, but making sure they have life skills. We're teaching them how to their personal hygiene, how to pay for their groceries, how to order at a restaurant, how to buy movie tickets. So the everyday things that people might do and not even think about that they're doing. We're structuring our classes and our content to help give them life skills that way.
That makes sense. So, how does the family and consumer sciences, the class you teach, how does that fit into the life curriculum then?
It's like a perfect puzzle piece. It really fits. Um, for those who might not know, family consumer sciences, uh, formerly known as home economics. So if you grew up, you know, 30 years ago in school, you might have seen home economics. And then we had a name change in the late 90s, and we became family and consumer sciences. So all of those life skills, the cooking skills, the nutrition skills, the human development, family study skills, budgeting skills, all of those are fit perfectly into the life department because it is about life, how to go about your day to day with, taking care of your family. These are, many of our students are seniors or in the quote unquote transition part where they'll be graduating soon from GCA. And so they are learning to live on their own and all of the things that goes along with that, making sure that they know how to pay bills, making sure that they can, shop and find a deal when they're shopping so that they're not just, using their money without thinking about it. And family consumer sciences naturally does that on a day-to-day basis with anyone, and then to have it tailored for the life department, it really is a perfect fit.
So, on top of that, what sort of maybe strategies or approaches are you using in your virtual classroom then to make sure that your students are understanding the content, learning the content, but then also like that they're even able to access the content?
We do a lot of labs, or what we call labs, in fact, same thing if you were in a science class and you would do a biology lab or a chemistry lab. We do family consumer science labs. And so if we are studying, um, for instance, nutrition, and making sure that they know how much sodium to look for on a menu, how much fat, how much sugar is in a drink from Starbucks. So they're actually, doing the labs. We'll put out a list of things that they'll need, maybe a Gatorade, a bottle of water, a cup of milk. And then we're reading the labels to see how much sugar is in there. And then, having them go through that process and then actually saying, okay, so what's the best choice for you? If you're trying not to eat or drink so much salt or sugar, what's the best process? And so they go through it and they will, go through the menu and go through the ingredients and they're like, oh, maybe I only need 2 slices of pizza instead of,
No,
instead
no,
of the
no, no.
whole pizza.
Whole pizza. Take
Right.
it all.
But it really helps. And so we even go online to a lot of the restaurants, popular restaurants that every teenager probably loves. And they know how to look for the menu to see what they would like to order. They know how to look for the nutrition content to see if they should order it. So we take it step by step and just build, from previous lessons until they are comfortable, practicing that and showing and sharing, what they're learning.
Hmm. That's great. It sounds like the labs are a great way to not only get the content, but then like some practical implications, applications with it. What's
Absolutely.
what's a recent lab or just one of your favorite labs to do with your students throughout the year that you feel like most of them like really enjoy? Can you think of one?
It's the pizza lab. It's the pizza. We start out with I wear different hats for each day of my classes, and one of their favorites is my pizza hat. And so it came about really organically the way that it happened. I had my pizza hat on, and one of the students said, Miss Brandi, I dare you to order pizza wearing that hat. And so I did. I went into Domino's with the pizza hat on, had, my daughter to record, videotape me, talk to the manager. So, she knew up front and ordered the pizza and brought it back, uploaded it, and they just laughed. They enjoyed it so much. And then from there, you know, we took it a step further. Okay, so how many of you order pizza? When you're ordering pizza, do you look at the nutritional value of the pizza? We looked at the sodium, we looked at the fat. They even chose what would build the best pizza nutritionally. So they have all this information, they have their lab sheets, and they're saying, okay, well, I can have spinach. Maybe I don't want to have 3 different kinds of meat because of the salt.
Mhm.
Maybe not 3 different kinds of cheese because of the salt. And then from there, we made pizzas. We made our own pizzas at home and compared, the nutritional value of both types of pizza. So it was really, really an awesome lesson that we have repeated each year because they enjoy it so much. And it's pizza. So, of course, teens love pizza. So it's something
Right.
that they can really, you know,
Mhm.
connect with the fact that it's pizza and they can make their own pizza.
Yeah, who doesn't like pizza?
Right, right.
What do you think other schools or other programs, virtual or not, could learn from the GCA Life program and the way that we do things here in the Life program?
It is such a wonderful experience to work in the life department. Um, Number one, having the right people in the right place. Um, Honestly, people who really want to be here, people who really want to see our students succeed. Um, it's a labor of love, but we do it with smiles on our face. Our teachers, I'm just like giving all kudos to them because you realize that you're not just teaching for a test, you're not teaching for a grade, you're teaching for life. You're teaching for our students to be able to care for themselves, to survive in this world. So that puts a whole nother layer of responsibility on it. And I think the way that we're able to utilize technology to do that, they're growing up in a technologically driven world. So many of them, they are smartphone babies. They, or as old as a smartphone. So they've always had smartphones or iPads or things right there at their fingertips. And so we're able to tap into that so that they can, oh, okay, this is just like how I move my apps on an iPad, or this is the same way I send a text message, with Nearpods and different things like that. So it really takes advantage of something that they are using on a daily basis and seeing how they can use it for learning and how they can use it for life, really. That was not meant to be a play on words with the life parts.
Is it is there anything about like the way that life does things, whether their systems or their supports that are in place here that you think other schools could also adopt to better serve their students with disabilities, whether these are virtual schools or traditional brick and mortar schools? Are there things we're doing here, whether they're systems that we have set up or specific strategies or things we're doing that you think, hey, these other schools over here, whether they're virtual, whether they're brick and mortar, they could do these things to better serve their students with disabilities?
Yes, and I think most of it comes from, again, with the teamwork, with making sure that the family is invested as well. I know in other schools, you might, and I don't want to put anybody else's school down, but you have IEP meetings, but it's not, at least I've never seen it done so in depth and so detailed to make sure that the student is getting everything that they need. Um, Making sure if they need technology as part of their assistive technology as part of their IEP program, making sure that they have those items available to them, making sure that the teachers are aware of all of the moving parts, behind the IEP's meetings, making sure that everyone is in the know or aware of the students, and that we send them out all the time so that all of the teachers are aware. Okay, this child needs this as a support. This child might need this, and it really is. It's like we operate at GCA in the life department as our own little microcosm of making sure these students have everything that they need and feel supported. Even with our clubs that we have here in the life department, so that they are experiencing everything that anyone in the general ed population would. And so yeah, I know we hear continually from our students, from our parents, how much they love GCA, how much they love the life department, and just to see the students excited about school. They, don't have to, many of our students tell me that, Miss Brandi, I was bullied or I was, mistreated at my school. They don't have that problem here at GCA. And they continually bring that up and how much they appreciate and feel that they are fortunate to be able to be schooled in a positive environment. GCA really is a positive environment for their learning.
Sure. So that going off that positivity, is there something else you would say in your experience that has made GCA's approach unique in terms of the for this life program? Is there anything particularly unique about the way GCA operates their life program?
Yes, I would say getting feedback from the teachers, because we are the ones who are with our students daily and saying, okay, well, this would help our students. And then we have administrators, okay, let's see if we can get that, for our students. Or we notice that this might not be something that we could use. And they're like, okay, well, what can we do? They listen to us. They take our feedback our administrator. I don't want to name drop, but
Mhm, mhm.
they work as a team, and they do um, the hard work, behind the curtain that we don't see, so that it makes it easier for the teachers to deliver the lessons, to deliver, the content, so that we know that we're being effective. So it's sort of like both ways. We're
Sure.
getting the feedback from the students and the families, and then we're passing that on to the administrators who go to work and make it happen. And then the administrators give us, what we need to be successful. And then we can in turn give it to our students and families.
Sure, that's great. And that's a key piece to think about the idea that you feel heard as a teacher when you go to administration about like, hey, here's some feedback. Maybe we should do these things.
Right.
And then now the parents feel listened to, you feel listened to, and then y'all are
Yes,
actually implementing the changes. That's fantastic.
absolutely.
So this might get you fired up, Randy, but what would you say to somebody who doubts, you know what, you cannot have any meaningful learning, any meaningful change really happening online with a life program? What would you say to someone who has a lot of doubts about that?
Come to our classes. Come into our classes. Our students, yes, I am a teacher, but I am learning every day. All of our teachers are learning every day, because our students, um, they are just phenomenal. They are phenomenal, and they exceed expectations every day, not just with me, but with their content teachers, where we might have, a standard that says they should be able to do this, and they are exceeding it, and, just blowing it out of the water. Or they are sharing different ways that they've used their lessons in, real everyday life, and they're putting in the practice and applying it to, what's going on with them. And yes, it is possible. It's very possible. And you would just have to come and see. I wouldn't even argue with them. Okay, but come and watch. Come and watch how wonderful they are.
Come and see. I love it. Actions speak louder than words, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So leave us with this. What then is the biggest lesson that you've learned as a teacher in the life program, especially in our online environment? And maybe it is, you mentioned like these students blew away your expectations. They're capable of so much more. Maybe that was your biggest lesson, or maybe it's something else. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what would you say is like, hey, this is something it doesn't have to be the biggest, maybe it's just a lesson or something that comes to mind, but as an online teacher in this life program at GCA, what would you say you've learned? Big lesson.
Oh, that would be the big lesson, because our students, again, they have intellectual disabilities, and sometimes people stop seeing the student and they just notice the disability.
Hmm.
And to have my students not only show that, no, I'm more than this, I can do more than that, I'm more capable than the world might see me as, it means a lot. And I've had students, this is my 5th year here at GCA, and I've had students who might have been told, oh, well, they are nonverbal, or maybe they're not able to do different things. And I'm like, no, they're talking in class. They are right here. They greet me every day. They're telling me what they ate for lunch. So it's looking beyond the disability, seeing the students, seeing the child for who they are, and who they want to become. That's
Mhm.
been the most beautiful experience since joining the life department.
And that's fantastic. Yes, getting to experience that growth, I can't imagine. So here's today's big idea. When inclusion is intentional, creative, and supported, students of all abilities can grow, connect, and contribute in ways that truly matter, even in a virtual space. Thanks again to Brandi for joining us and sharing her passion and perspective. If this episode made you rethink inclusion or inspired your practice, be sure to subscribe and join us next time on GCA Unmuted, Voices of Virtual Education. Thanks, Brandi.
Thank you.